Okay, let's unpack this. There is this specific kind of cognitive dissonance that happens when we look back at the history of the mid-20th century, particularly right around World War II and the years immediately following.
Hmm.
We have this standard glossy narrative in our heads. The Allies win, the Nazis are defeated, the world is saved, and we all march happily into the 1950s. It's a clean break.
Right. It's the good war.
It's the good war.
Yeah, and that narrative is comfortable, it's very linear, it tells us who the heroes are, who the villains are, and it sort of suggests that once the treaties were signed, the moral universe just, righted itself.
Exactly. But then you start peeling back the layers of the occupation of Germany, specifically from the perspective of Black American soldiers, and that clean line gets incredibly blurry.
Oh, it gets messy. Fast.
It really does. You have men who are treated as second-class citizens in their own country, the so-called victors, being deployed to the land of Aryan supremacy. And the weirdest, most unsettling part, sometimes they were treated better by the enemy than they were by their own superior officers.
It's a massive historical paradox, and that is exactly where we are living today. We are taking a deep dive into the novel Keeper of Lost Children by Sadeqa Johnson.
Right.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, wait, a novel? I thought we did hard history here, but let's be clear. This book is doing the heavy lifting of documenting a very real, very painful slice of history that usually gets left out of the textbooks.
It really is. We are talking about the Michelin-Skinder.
The brown babies.
Yes, the brown babies.
The children born to Black American soldiers and white German women in the occupation years. And we're not just looking at the kids, which is a story in itself. We're looking at the entire ecosystem that created them.
It's the whole context.
The whole context. We've got a stack of notes here covering 3 distinct timelines from the source material, 1948, 1950, and 1965.
And 3 distinct fights for identity. It's fascinating how they connect. We're going to look at Sophia in 1965 Maryland, who's just trying to break out of generational poverty.
Then we have Ozzy.
Yeah, Ozzy in 1948, a soldier in Germany right at the cusp of military desegregation.
A moment of huge change. And then Ethel in 1950, an officer's wife fighting a completely different kind of war, a war against her own biology and really the social expectations of her time.
And the mission of this deep dive is to see how these 3 seemingly separate lives, they weave together to tell a much bigger story about the Black experience in the mid-20th century.
Exactly. It's specifically at that intersection of the American military, post-war Germany, and the struggle to just be, to exist.
So buckle up. We aren't just skimming the surface. We're getting into the mud. And speaking of mud, we really have to start with Sophia, 1965, Prince Frederick, Maryland.
Yeah.
Because her story, man, it starts viscerally. We aren't easy into this at all. We are right there in the dirt with her from page 1.
It is so visceral. The source text describes her life in Prince Frederick, and it is not a pastoral, romantic farm life. This isn't, Little House on the Prairie.
Not at all. I think we had this romanticized idea of 1960s rural life sometimes, but Johnson paints a picture that is, well, it's violent in its own way.
It is. It's a violent poverty.
We're talking roof rats eating through the plaster. That's the detail that stuck with me. You wake up and you hear rats literally eating your house.
And the smell. Johnson is so specific about the sensory details.
The ammonia.
The smell of chicken feces, the ammonia, and then the physical toll on Sophia. The red welts on her arms from night terrors. She's living in a space that is physically attacking her, in a way.
Yeah, she wakes up scratching, and it's not just from, bed bugs or whatever. It's from the deep, deep anxiety of her existence. She is physically manifesting the trauma of her living situation.
It's psychosomatic. Her body is screaming when her mouth can't.
And the family dynamic offers absolutely no refuge. We need to talk about Ma Dearie, her mother, because let's just say she's not winning any Mother of the Year award.
Not even close. She's abusive. She's neglectful. The source text points out she calls Sophia rusty because of her hair texture, a name Sophia just hates.
It's a constant little jab, a reminder that she's not good enough, even down to her hair, and she dismisses Sophia's intellect at every single turn.
Ma Dearie is a fascinating and I think a really tragic archetype. She's the mother, but she's also the primary oppressor in Sophia's life. There's this intense crab-in-a-bucket mentality going on there.
Let's unpack that for a second, the crab-in-a-bucket mentality, because it's so central to their relationship.
It's the sociological concept that if one crab tries to climb out of a bucket, the others will pull it back down. And it's not always out of pure malice, It can come from a warped sense of survival or fear.
Right. It's like, if I can't get out, neither can you, or even, It's safer for you in here with us.
Precisely. Ma Deary sees Sophia's ambition, her desire to go to school, to leave the farm, as dangerous. She calls it a pie-in-the-sky dream.
Because in Maud Deary's world, dreaming gets you hurt. Survival is the only metric that matters to her. Anything beyond that is a liability.
And the irony is just dripping from the page.
Oh, it's immense.
Sophia is the backbone of this farm. She's the one doing the backbreaking, menial labor, shoveling manure, taking care of the chickens, while her brothers and her old man are largely useless or absent. She is the engine of the family.
And yet she's treated like the spare part.
Exactly. Which makes the interview scene so excruciatingly painful to read. We get this flashback where Sophia is being interviewed for a scholarship to an elite boarding school, West Oak Forest Academy.
And she's sitting there with Mrs. Winston from the Prosser Foundation.
And Mrs. Winston, coming from this world of privilege, asks her about her hobbies.
Hobbies. And you can just feel Sophia's mind racing, trying to translate her life into a language this woman will understand. She's mentally cataloging her day, which consists of composting dung and dodging rats.
It highlights how utterly foreign the concept of leisure is to Sophia. Leisure is a class privilege. Sophia doesn't have hobbies. She has chores. She has labor.
But despite that, or maybe because of her raw, unvarnished honesty when she answers, she gets in.
She gets in, which should be this moment of pure triumph.
It should be. But here's the conflict. Mrs. Brown, the school counselor, who is clearly rooting for her, gives her the news. She even gives her a little care package, a nightgown, panties, because she knows Sophia has absolutely nothing.
A kind gesture.
A very kind gesture. But Ma Deary, when the official acceptance letter comes to the house, she hides it.
She actively sabotages her own daughter's future. It's just devastating.
And this leads to what I think is maybe the most cinematic moment in this whole timeline, the snap.
Yes, literally snapping. She's in the cornfield, right?
She is, and she just loses it. After years of repressed rage, of being told she's nothing, she starts destroying these corn stalks. It's this incredible release. She's not just breaking corn, she's breaking the tether to that life.
And her brother Walter, who is really the moral center of her family life, well, the one person who sees her worth, he finds her in the middle of this breakdown.
He's the good one.
He's the one. And he makes a decision. He realizes that if she stays, she dies. Maybe not physically, but her spirit will die. She will wither on that vine.
Yeah. So they decide to steal Maudie Deary's car.
The Rambler. This is the great escape, and I love the contrast here. It's so vivid. They are driving this stolen car through the night, leaving behind a world of manure and labor and emotional abuse, and driving toward what?
Toward a world of visual perfection. But as they drive, you can almost feel the sensory experience shifting. They leave the smell of ammonia and enter a world of manicured lawns and jaguars.
But when they arrive at West Oak Forest, it's not the promised land. Not right away.
Not at all. It's just a different kind of battlefield. She trades the hostility of poverty for the hostility of institutional racism. The receptionist at the admin building acts like Sophia is an alien species that just landed. She makes that comment about the founding fathers rolling in their graves. Just overtly racist.
And notice the administrative hurdle that gets thrown up immediately, the birth certificate. Sophia doesn't have it.
Right. And in 1965, for a poor, rural black girl, not having a birth certificate isn't just a paperwork error.
No, it's an existential crisis.
It is. It's the system saying, you don't officially exist here. You don't belong. It's designed to keep people like her out.
And it reinforces that imposter syndrome she's already feeling. The source text mentions Sophia scrubbing herself raw in the shower later, feeling like the grime of dirt is a bloodstain she can't wash off.
She feels the farm on her skin, even after she's scrubbed herself clean. She feels contaminated by her past, and everyone at the school seems to agree with that feeling.
The students certainly don't help. She meets Patty, a white student, who outright refuses to show Sophia to her dorm.
Yeah, says her parents told her not to talk to Negro students. Just blatant.
But then we get the foil. We meet her roommate, Wilhelmina Pride, Willa.
Willa is so important.
She's crucial because she disrupts the monolithic view of blackness that even Sophia might have held. Willa is black, but she's wealthy. She has a department store wardrobe. She has luggage that isn't, falling apart at the seams.
She represents a world Sophia didn't even know existed. Black affluence, black confidence.
It's a culture shock within a culture shock. Sophia is intimidated by the white students, sure, but she's also completely intimidated by Willa. Willa is so self-possessed, she feels like Rosa Parks, like she's there to break barriers.
And Sophia's just trying to survive the day.
She just wants to be invisible. But you can't be invisible when you're one of the only black faces on campus.
But she finds her sanctuaries, and this is crucial for any survival story, right? You have to find your pockets of safety. She finds the library.
Miss Fordham.
I love Mrs. Fordham. The librarian who marched in Washington in '63. She looks at Sophia and she gets it. She tells her, this is a safe space.
Every hero needs a mentor or a safe harbor. Mrs. Fordham is that for her. But Sophia also finds power in her own body, and this connects back to the farm in a really interesting way.
Yes, the basketball scene. This was one of my favorite parts. She meets Coach Fletcher, who is British and delightfully, refreshingly unprejudiced.
His Britishness is a really clever narrative device because he sits outside the American racial binary. He's not burdened by all that baggage. He doesn't see a poor black girl. He sees biomechanics.
He sees her wingspan. He sees the tight core that she developed from hauling water and shoveling manure for years.
And that recontextualization is so incredibly powerful. On the farm, her body was a tool for others, for Maud Deary, for the crops. On the court, her body is a tool for herself, for her own excellence.
For the first time, she owns her strength.
When she shoots that ball, swish. It's the first time in her life she feels a sense of mastery over anything.
And of course, we can't talk about Sophia without talking about Max McBay.
The meet cute.
The meet cute. It's so charming. She drops her book in the hallway. He helps her pick it up. And then, this is the detail that killed me, he eats her sugar cookie.
The audacity. Just takes a bite.
Right. But it's charming in its audacity. He's not asking permission. He's just confident and easygoing.
Yeah.
And for Sophia, who feels like Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies in her long hand-me-down nightgown, to have this handsome, confident guy pay attention to her.
It changes everything. It validates her presence there in a way that nothing else has. It anchors her.
It really does.
Okay.
But before we get too comfortable in 1965, we have to rewind. Because Sophia's struggle for identity doesn't happen in a vacuum. It really stands on the shoulders of the history that came before.
It's the downstream effect of a changing world.
That's right. Let's go back to the source. Let's go back to 1948, Philadelphia, and meet Ozzie.
Ozzie's timeline is fascinating because it captures a very specific, volatile moment in American history. The cusp of change. The war is over, but the peace hasn't really settled, especially not at home.
We start with a block party. It's Memorial Day. It's vibrant. You can smell the barbecue. You can hear the jazz. It feels like community.
It is community. But for Ozzie, it's also a place of limitation. He's leaving. He's shipping out. And he's leaving behind Rita.
Oh, Rita. That breakup scene just crushed me. They're in the basement, and she breaks up with him because she loves him.
It's an act of love.
It is. She wants him to be free while he's deployed in Germany.
She uses that line, why buy the pig when the sausage is free? It sounds crude, but she's using humor to mask a deep, deep pain. She knows the reality. He's going to Germany for 4 years.
It's a long time.
A very long time. She wants him to be free, sexually, emotionally. She doesn't want him tethered to Philadelphia when he's about to see the world. She's giving him permission to grow, even if it means losing him forever. It's incredibly selfless.
But even on his last night, there's this tension, this confrontation with Harold, the red-boned rich kid who's disrespecting Rita.
The class dynamics again, just like with Sophia and Willa, but in a different context. Harold looks down on Ozzie, and Ozzie punches him.
It establishes that Ozzie has a temper, yes, but also that he absolutely refuses to be disrespected. He's going to the army to be a man, and he's starting right now in this basement.
And then his Uncle Millard drives him to the train station, and we get this incredible backstory for Millard. This isn't just an uncle giving a ride. This is a history lesson in the passenger seat of a car.
Absolutely. Uncle Millard is a fugitive.
He is. He killed a white man to protect Ozzie's mother years ago and has been on the run ever since. He carries a Fairbairn Sykes commando knife.
And it establishes this theme that for black men in this era, existence often meant one of two choices: fighting or running. There was no peaceful middle ground.
So Ozzie runs to the army. He thinks he's running toward freedom, toward opportunity. He gets on the ship, and immediately the freedom he signed up for, it looks a whole lot like Jim Crow.
It's segregation at sea. It's the double V dilemma: victory abroad, victory at home. But they haven't won at home yet, and the military is a microcosm of that failure.
The ship is strictly segregated. The book describes the coloreds-only benches, the cramped, awful quarters in the mess hall, while the white troops have much better accommodations. It's just profoundly humiliating.
But he meets Clara Thompson. the WAC nurse.
Clara is key. She's a veteran in her own right. She served with the 688th 88th Battalion, the 688.
The only all-black, all-female battalion sent overseas during WWII.
And their job was to clear this impossible backlog of mail, millions of letters. And she tells them about the pain of returning killed-in-action letters to families. It's a sobering moment. It grounds Ozzy's adventure in the reality of death and loss.
It does. But then they arrive in Germany. And this is where the paradox just smacks you in the face.
This is one of the most complex and honestly most written about aspects of the black soldiers' experience in WWII and post-war Germany. They arrive in a country that was the epicenter of Aryan supremacy, the home of Nazism, and yet, how are they treated?
They are welcomed. The German people are waving, shouting, "Willkommen!" Meanwhile, the white American soldiers are the ones spitting on them, calling them names.
Precisely. It's a jarring inversion of expectations. The enemy treats them with more humanity than their own countrymen. Now, some of that was strategic, geopolitical, but a lot of it was also genuine curiosity and, frankly, a lack of the specific American racial baggage. For Ozzy, it's completely disorienting.
And then the big news drops. Lieutenant Hill gathers the troops and announces Executive Order 9981.
President Truman's ordered to desegregate the military, a landmark moment.
The soldiers go wild. You can feel the jubilation. And Ozzy's thinking, this is it. This is my chance. I'm smart. I aced the aptitude test. I'm going into intelligence.
He has a perfect score, logic, strategy he's built for intel. He genuinely believes the Army will finally see his brain, not just his skin color.
But what happens?
The reality check, the big one. He gets assigned to the motor pool. Maintenance.
It's a gut punch.
The glass ceiling is made of reinforced steel. The law changed on paper, but the culture, the attitudes of the men in charge hadn't caught up. He's still just a pair of hands to the military, not a brain to be utilized.
And it gets worse. He tries to do a simple act of kindness for a German woman in a village, just giving her some aspirin for her sick father. And his superior, First Sergeant Petty, comes down on him like a ton of bricks.
Petty represents the export of American racism. He brings the Jim Crow South with him to Germany. He cannot stand to see a black man acting with agency or kindness toward a white woman.
He can't conceptualize a black man and a white woman interacting without it being predatory. That's the only lens he has.
And that accusation of harassment, it's a threat. Back home, an accusation like that could get a black man killed.
Which makes Ozzy's eventual relationship with Jelka so revolutionary.
Jelka. Now, this relationship is incredibly complex, and we have to be careful not to over-romanticize it without looking at all the power dynamics at play.
Right. She works at the blues club.
And those nightlife scenes, they're so vibrant, but also so tense. It's this one space where black soldiers and German women can mix, which, of course, enrages the white soldiers who come looking for trouble.
And at first, Jelka is cold to him.
She is. To her, he's an occupier. He's the conqueror. He represents the country that bombed her city to rubble.
Right. She says, you Americans are all the same. But Ozzy persists. He's gentle. And they bond over the moon.
It's so poetic, isn't it? They both stand there and look at the moon. It's this shared point of reference in a world that has been blown apart. The moon is the only thing that hasn't been bombed. It's the same moon they've always known.
Jelka says the line that unlocks the entire relationship for me.
I know the one you mean.
She says, you are lonely. I see myself in you.
That stopped me in my tracks. I see myself in you. You have a black man from Philadelphia and a white German woman in a bombed-out city. On the surface, they are absolute opposites. But underneath all of that,
they are mirror images of each other's loneliness.
They are both displaced. They are both struggling for dignity in systems that are designed to devalue them. Jelka is likely struggling with the shame of her nation, the poverty of post-war life. Ozzy is struggling with the racism of his own army. They find a kind of homeland in each other.
It's a relationship that transcends race, which is exactly what the American military establishment was so terrified of.
And this relationship, this dynamic between black soldiers and German women, is exactly what leads us to our third timeline. Because these relationships had consequences. They had children.
Yes. Let's move to 1950. Ethel.
Ethel's story is the bridge. She's not a soldier, and she's not poor like Sophia. She's an officer's wife. She has status, she has comfort, but she has this huge, gaping void in her life.
Infertility. She desperately wants a child.
And in 1950, for a woman of her social standing, infertility was viewed as a personal failure, a moral failing almost, something to be hidden.
The desperation is just palpable. She travels all the way to Lourdes, France, to the grotto. She's praying for a miracle.
And she has this spiritual experience, or what she believes is one. She hears a voice or feels a message inside her. You have much to offer others.
And of course, she interprets this as a promise of pregnancy. We interpret things how we want to hear them, right?
Of course. But reality crashes the party. Literally. She's at an officer's wives' club tea.
Oh, the tea parties. The birds and pearls theme. It's so painfully trivial.
It highlights the superficial bubble these women lived in. They're debating napkin rings while Germany is still in ruins right outside the gate of the base.
And Ethel is there, trying to play the part, and she feels a miscarriage scare, or rather, she realizes her period has started. The hope she'd been clinging to is gone, and she just leaves. She walks out.
This wandering is so significant. She steps out of the American sector mentally and physically. She wanders into the real Germany, the part they're not supposed to see.
She stumbles upon St. Hildegard's orphanage, and she meets Sister Ursula. And this is where the hidden history of this entire era just hits like a freight train. She sees the children.
The Mislingskinder, the mixed-race children.
And Sister Ursula explains it all. These are the children of black GIs and German women, and the tragedy is just, it has so many layers.
It really does. The mothers are often ostracized by their own families and villages. They lose their housing, their jobs. They are called Emilibschen, which is a derogatory term, or even traitors to the race.
So they are forced to give up the children.
They're left with no choice. And the fathers.
The fathers are gone.
The U.S. military often denied their requests to marry the German mothers. They were shipped back home at the end of their tours. So the fathers were essentially erased from the equation.
Leaving these children completely stateless.
Yeah.
Not German, not American.
Worse than stateless, unwanted. There's that prologue anecdote from the book, the one that really sets the stakes for the whole story. A grandfather threatening to sell his own grandson to a traveling human zoo.
A human zoo. It sounds like something from a horror novel, but that was the depth of the racism. These children were viewed as curiosities, as mistakes, as less than human.
Ethel walks into that courtyard, and she doesn't see mistakes. She sees children who need care.
She sees herself, in a way. Remember the message from Lourdes. You have much to offer others. She realizes in that moment her purpose isn't to birth a child, but to save these children.
And she starts by doing their hair. I just love this detail. She uses her old beauty parlor skills. She takes these matted, neglected heads of hair and she turns them into something beautiful. It's such a tender, tactile act of care.
It restores their dignity. It's a small act with massive implications. And she bonds with Enke, a 3-year-old girl who starts calling her Mummy.
That moment when the kids are all chanting Mummy at the gate as she leaves. It breaks Ethel, but it also rebuilds her. It gives her a purpose she's been searching for.
So she goes to war, but her battlefield is the Tea Party.
This is tactical brilliance on her part. She goes back to the ladies with the pearls and the perfect manners, and she doesn't ask for their pity. She doesn't try to shame them. She frames it as patriotism.
She says, these children have American blood.
Brilliantly so. It's a genius move. She reframes the children not as German mistakes or black outcasts, but as Americans left behind. And if they are American, then the Officers' Wives Club has a duty to save them. She weaponizes their own nationalism to bypass their prejudice.
And it works. She mobilizes them, they start collecting donations, supplies, and she and her husband Bert decide to adopt Anke.
But she doesn't stop there. This isn't just about saving one child for her. She plans to start a movement. She wants to get other black families back in the States to adopt these children. She's building a bridge across the Atlantic for these lost children.
So we have these 3 incredible interwoven stories. Sophia fighting for her education, Ozzy fighting for respect in a hostile army, Ethel fighting for these children. How do we pull this all together? What is the synthesis here?
Well, the central gravity of the book is obviously the brown babies phenomenon. It's the physical human manifestation of this collision between Black America and post-war Germany. These children were stateless, rejected by the Aryan ideals of Germany's recent past and completely ignored by the segregationist policies of the United States.
They are the lost children of the title, literally.
Exactly, but then look at the parallel struggles for identity across all 3 timelines. Sophia is fighting classism and racism to prove she belongs in academia. She finds power in her body through basketball, reclaiming her physical self after it was just used for labor.
And Ozzy is fighting for respect in a uniform that claims to represent freedom, but oppresses him personally. He finds his humanity not with his countrymen, but in the arms of the so-called enemy, Jelka.
And Ethel. She's fighting her own biology, her depression, the constraints of her role as an officer's wife. She finds motherhood not through birth, but through saving the lost children of her husband's peers.
It's also about the irony of home. Have you noticed that? That theme runs so deep through all three stories.
Oh, absolutely. That is the core theme that ties them all together.
Ozzy feels freer in Germany, a country in literal ruins, than he does in Philadelphia or anywhere else in America.
Yes. The ruins of Germany offer more breathing room for a black man than the city of brotherly love. That is a searing indictment of 1948 America.
And Sophia is in her own country, Maryland. But when she goes to that white academy, she feels like she's on a different planet. It's a foreign land to her.
She is homeless in her own state. She's an immigrant in her own backyard.
And Ethel. She finds her home, the meaning of motherhood, her life's purpose, in a foreign land, in a German orphanage.
It suggests that home isn't a place on a map. For these characters, home is a place where you are seen, where you are valued for who you are.
That's it.
Ozzy is seen by Jelka. Sophia is seen by Coach Fletcher and Max. Ethel is seen by Ank. That recognition is the home they've all been searching for.
Being seen. That's really it, isn't it? Whether it's Mrs. Fordham telling Sophia the library is a safe space, or Jelka looking at Ozzy and saying, I see myself in you. That's the moment of grace.
And when you think about that, you have to think about the tracks they are leaving.
The Dakota proverb. It's quoted in part 2 of the text. We will be known forever by the tracks we leave.
It's a haunting thought, and it applies so perfectly to every character.
Who are these tracks for?
Well, in the most direct sense, Ethel is leaving tracks for Anka and the other orphans. She's clearing a path for them to have a life, to have a home.
And Sophia. She's leaving tracks for the black students who will come after her at West Oak Forest. She's the trailblazer, literally hacking through the cornfield of prejudice to make the path a little easier for the next person.
And Ozzy. Even though his story is fraught with so much frustration and disappointment, his service, his presence in Germany, it left tracks. It changed the demographic landscape of Germany forever. It forced the U.S. military to confront its own hypocrisy, slowly but surely.
It accelerated the civil rights conversation back home.
Exactly. He didn't get to see the victory, but he laid the track for it. His individual struggle was part of a much larger movement.
That is a powerful thought to hold on to. We look at history and we see the big events, the treaties, the executive orders. But it's these personal tracks, the stolen car ride, the night at the jazz club, the hair braiding in the courtyard, that actually pave the way forward.
Absolutely. The macro history is made up of these millions of micro moments of courage and resilience.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up this deep dive. It's a heavy topic, but man, what a beautiful, profound exploration of resilience.
It really is. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to find connection and build a home in the most unlikely and sometimes the most broken of places.
I want to leave the listener with one thought. We often think of history as something that happens to people. But in Keeper of Lost Children, history is something people do. It's an active choice. It's a choice to steal a car, a choice to punch the bully, a choice to adopt the child. So the question is, what tracks are you leaving today?
That's the question.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us. Keep leaving those tracks.
See you next time.